Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Trevor, and welcome to the Rick and Morty theory, which is finally coming out. I'm recording this on Sunday, and for some people, it might come out on Monday, technically, but just a little bit. So sorry about that. Um, but yeah, okay. Now with the theory. So first of all, as you can see from the title, um, my theory is that Rick is Jerry, like an older version of Jerry. Um, and this kind of goes against the Rick is an older Morty theory. And there's a few flaws I see in that theory. First of all, Morty's head is a circle while Rick's is like an oval. Um, Another flaw I see in it is that, like, no matter how smart Rick's have be or not Rick's, no matter how smart Morty's have become, like, we see evil Morty, who is now president of the Citadel. No matter how smart they've become, they're still not Rick's, like, in the way they act and stuff. Maybe a little bit evil Morty, but not really. Um, yeah, okay, and then the third flaw I saw in this is that although for the first two seasons of the show, it wasn't obvious at all that that could have been a thing. Like, there was a little bit of evidence that was like subtly thrown here and there. In season three so far, there's been a lot of evidence. So I think the writers of the show are trying to trick us and put us off to a different. They're throwing us a curveball basically. Okay, so my theory is that uh, Beth's real father died when she was actually pretty young, and because she can't remember what he looks like, so she has to draw him into photos and stuff. Um, and Jerry, because of the time travel stuff, I'm gonna say that although it's like on the shelf, it was still possibly working or something. I'm just gonna say that. Um, I think he's gonna mess around with it somehow and go to a later part of Beth's life when her father's been gone for 20 years. And okay, so I have a lot of evidence connecting Rick and Jerry. So they both extremely hate each other, and like out of the family, Rick hates Jerry the most, and Morty has said before that Ricks hate themselves the most. So um, they both like really love Beth. Uh, Another interesting thing I saw was uh, one of the Ricks designed a daycare that's specifically for Jerry's. Um, and there's not like any daycares for Beth's or daycares for Summers, but there's a daycare for Jerry specifically. Um, and this daycare probably costs money because Rick said that he wishes he was the Rick who had come up with that idea because he's rich. So it kind of implies that it costs money. So why would you pay money for to protect someone you hate, while also giving them freedom to leave, right? Uh, Also, in another episode, season three, episode five, it's shown that Rick wants to keep Jerry alive because he takes him on vacation to a resort covered in an immortality field. Um, so yeah, a couple of small connections um, that connect them is that they're both unemployed. And in an alternate reality, Jerry is doing drugs while uh, we've seen Rick do plenty of drugs before in the show. So maybe that sort of connects them. In season three, episode five, Rick says that the reason Jerry survives is because he's a predator, but he lures his victims in with pity, which is kind of exactly what Rick is doing with Beth. And Jerry's actually pointed this out. I can't remember which episode, but he says basically that your father is just playing on your abandonment issues. Um, yeah. Uh, so another thing that sort of connects them is that we've seen Rick attempt suicide at least once, and uh, Rick said that Morty said that uh, he was afraid that Jerry would kill himself in season 3, episode 5. So that possibly connects them. And also, Jerry is quick to make friends with Doofus Rick. And in season 3, episode 5, uh, synaptically dampened Rick and Jerry get along. Like, they laugh at the same jokes and stuff. I mean, they don't really get along, but they're sort of like on the same mental floor. Anyway, in season 3, episode 1, when in the flashback and Rick says, "Yeah, I used to wear blue pants." His pants are closer in shade to those of Jerry's than they are to Morty's. Um, they both feel like they've had Beth stolen from her, right? Okay, so this next one is one I think could have just been like a reference. So when Morty plays Roy at Blitz and Chits, um, I'm thinking Jerry could be represented by Roy. So if you go by this, Jerry is a guy who gets married young, and eventually his wife is talking about um, him taking over her father's business. So he basically takes over his father in law's business, which I think could be foreshadowing, maybe. Also, Jerry's parents are, freaky, like in the sexual ways, which, uh, yeah, and it's also pretty obvious. It's pretty heavily hinted at that he was like molested or raped as a child, and this could help explain Rick's weird stuff in autoerotic assimilation. Um, Also, Jerry once got a medal for being the best scientist, and he got it on Pluto, so that could possibly be foreshadowing. Um, a lot of the things Jerry asks for, Rick does. Um, like when he has the trouble opening a jar, and he asks Rick if he can help him with it, and so Rick pretty much says yes, and he gets the Mystics to open it for him. And then also when he asks to upgrade Snuffle's intelligence, and he does that, and just things like that. And also, it seems that on Tiny Planet, um, Rick didn't even consider turning himself over to the Galactic Federation until he heard Jerry talking about it to the family. Um, at which point he decided it was a good idea to take out the government that way. So perhaps he gets ideas from Jerry. Okay, so in the flashback in season 3, episode 1, and I'm talking about Rick's flashback, uh, we've seen that there might be some elements of truth in there. If we just take it as characters, if we replace young Rick with Jerry, we get this sort of story. So, Jerry is struggling with a job when Rick comes in, and he's got all the solutions. Uh, Jerry easily like brushes him off, um, and then hangs out with his family, and then his family is promptly taken from him by Rick, which forces him to be innovative, which is what we're seeing Jerry do now, basically. Another interesting thing was that in season 3, episode 7, Garment District Rick said that it wouldn't matter who's president, even if it was Jerry, and the only actual names that were said in the entire episode were Rick, Morty, and then this small mention of Jerry being president. Uh, in the season 2 finale, when Rick is turning himself in, he talks as if he's Jerry, which although it was like for funny moments, it could have also possibly been foreshadowing. Uh, also, that scene where in season 3, episode 1, where the Galactic Federation collapses, and someone, I can't remember who it was, but someone says, "He who controls the pants controls the galaxy," which links back to the pants thing. Jerry's in that scene. And then in another scene in season 3, episode 5, in the Whirly Durly conspiracy, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but in the intro, or not in the intro, but before the intro, that little thing is like another time where pants are mentioned, and that's because Jerry doesn't have pants. And he's all, "I'll make you pants," and then pants are mentioned again later in the episode. And also, Jerry might have a motive to be against the Galactic Federation because although it did um, benefit him a lot, it eventually led to him getting a divorce. So that could be where his anger is. And yeah, comment down below if you like the theory. Suggest like any edits or anything. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.